But it's also sad for the industry. So many of those folks, it gives the industry a bad name.
Try to be competitive, but at the same time, if you try to be too competitive, one little mistake, you're in the negative now.
There's always going to be somebody cheaper, no matter what.
Yep.
How far do you want to go?
I don't want to chase the guy down the road's price at all. Right? You're making yourself a commodity, like, especially when you have the experience, the knowledge, and the reputation and the brand. There isn't anything like that in the industry, but we've got 40 years of experience that is better than any like initial training you can get. So how do we get there?
I think, personally,
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Born to Tint with the Miller Brothers. Excited to be here with my co-host and my brother, Josh.
How's it going, everybody? Today we have a really special episode for you. We've got Scott Iverson with Solar Gard with us today. We get to talk a little bit about his origin stories into the window tint industry, talk about new products that are available from Solar Gard, servicing, training, kind of get back and forth a little bit of stories on our history in the industry and how we know each other. And we had a really great conversation. If you want to continue to follow us along on this journey of learning more about the tint industry and trying to educate the industry on things that you might not know, make sure you subscribe and look out every Wednesday for new episodes.
Hey, man, appreciate you coming down.
hey, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. This is really cool.
Yeah, no, so kind of just wanted to, I know we've known each other.
Many moons.
Yeah.
Very
Kind
long
of.
time.
I don't think I've ever really had the in-depth conversation. I know you are a rep now, but before you were a rep, you had your own store, and so kind of I'd say just give us a little background on that. Like, and if anything, like, what got you into the industry to begin with when it comes to tinting?
Yeah, take us way back.
Yeah.
Like way back.
Yeah.
I started out in the mid-'90s at a Sun Gard shop. Learned how to do everything the wrong way. I ended up going to a Lumar shop, relearned, really perfected the skills, and then went back to another Sun Gard shop and went out on my own after that. Eventually transitioned to Solar Gard, and many moons later, here we are.
Now, the Sun Guard shop, when you first started learning, like, was it pretty much just like, here's a roll, have fun at it, or was it someone show you anything?
It was have a fun with it. Kind of the proverbial learn everything the wrong way.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, 90s, it was a relatively still, I mean, it still is in my eyes a relatively new industry, young industry. But in the 90s, it was really, really young industry.
especially for myself. I mean, well, not especially, but I mean, it definitely was. Yeah. But it was fun. I it's the only thing I've ever done.
What got you interested in film to begin with? Like, what was the spark to go work at that shop? Was it just like, oh, let me just, because I know with my dad, it was more likely he was building out cabinets for a buddy, saw it being done, kind of saw what they made, or after their ad released, how much they made in a week, and he was like, oh, I can do that. And same thing, kind of just jumped straight into it, like, let me just figure this stuff out. What was the initial spark of window tint? Because, I mean, at least nowadays, when it comes down to it, like with the new hires that we have, it's, hey, I've been following this, I've been watching this on YouTube, I'm really interested in tinting. Like, obviously, there was no YouTube in the 90s. So what was the initial spark to even go to tint?
I was a junior in high school. I had an 85 Mazda 626, and by God, I wasn't going to pay somebody to tint it.
It seems like that is the classic story when it comes down to it. Like,
that's a trend.
Yeah, it's like majority of all the people that we've talked to that got into the industry, either late 80s or 90s, that's usually that. I wanted to tint my car.
Did it with that first one was just a 1-inch blade I got from my old man, and I think I found a turbo from some guy that'd been around since the 70s, and bada boom.
Yeah, you're the third or fourth person to mention the yellow turbo.
Oh, again, all from the same era. Like, it's, I don't know. I feel, I don't, like I said, I don't want to say feel bad, but when it comes down to it, like all the new installers that are coming out now, they're never gonna understand that. I guess understand that grind of the fact that you had a yellow turbo and a white hard card. And then eventually you had a black Teflon card, which that was like, oh, look at this thing. This thing is nice.
We're shrinking now.
Yeah.
So it's, I feel bad for them because they didn't, I don't know. They're not going to be able to pick up skills and traits in my eyes that were learned through just the fact that you had 3 tools. That was it.
So it poses the question, what's the answer? Most anybody and everybody is plotter guys nowadays. So,
Yeah, but at least with the plotter, with the one thing, the great
right,
thing,
wrong, or indifferent.
yeah, well, the great thing about plotter, it gives you the ability to train someone up relatively fast, get them into it, but then you have the secondary training that comes on top of that. Like I would say our young guys were able to get like tinting in about effectively and like up to our quality standards within like 6 months.
Yeah.
Okay, to a point of like doing majority of the easy work, and then you have the offshoot cars. That's like the only way you're going to get better at these is that you're going to have to do it, fail, rip that tint off, redo it again, and then this is how you got trash or dirt in the window here and there type thing. So it's, you slowly get there, but you can get them trained up pretty quickly. Like hand cutting was, that's obviously that's a secondary art. Like that is something else. And again, you don't get better at that unless you're doing it constantly.
Yeah, and to add to that, you guys can both attest, cars today are exponentially easier than they used to be.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to push back on that. Yes, they are, but at the same time, there is way more to deal with in my eyes.
Such as maybe electronics.
No, the electronics, and then even I don't remember having an issue with covering things up when I learned how to tint in mid 2000s, late 2000s. Like it just wasn't an issue. Like we didn't have soak ropes; they didn't exist. Like the huge microfibers and stuff like that. Hey, we were a paper towel company.
It wasn't a problem.
No issue.
Electronics.
Well. Yeah, but even when it comes down to the upholstery, like how certain cars are put together now, like now we have it built into our standard of operations and our SOPs that everything gets covered. You got when you're installing a windshield, soak up goes into the bottom of the windshield, microfiber down on the windshield on the dash itself, and then even microfibers on the center console over the wheel cover everything, because any part of that upholstery now, if it's not treated appropriately, you're going to end up having either it's going to suck water in, either change the color or something, or you're going to spend a bunch of time trying to detail it out, and it just wastes time. And you always run the risk of, if you are going to a shop that necessarily ain't taking those precautions, you run the risk that your car's going to get damaged.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see door panels covered in so many reputable places now. Back in the day, we just stained the shit out of door panels, embarrassingly enough.
Yeah, but again, it comes down to that. Like when that happened, though, you had your procedure past that to get the door, get them cleaned up. Like for me, it was always a glass cleaner. Mm-hmm. Glass cleaner. If you had any soap stains on the door, if you didn't wipe it in time, throw some glass cleaner on there, sit there, scrub the door. You're good to go. And for the most part, that wasn't even necessarily a long process. Like I felt like the upholstery and the door panels in general just cleaned faster. Now it's like you should be able to get it out, but it's still one of those things like you might not, and you might just bought a door panel. And obviously, nothing these days is cheap, especially when it comes to cars.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
In addition, just going those extra steps to do things properly, and the tickets that guys are getting nowadays are just blow my mind.
Yeah, it really is crazy.
You ever think that we would be like have a car that is $1,300 up to $1,600 for tint?
No,
like it's definitely mind-boggling to me. It's understandable because I know the technology in the film now has gotten to a point where like material's not cheap.
No,
and material is not cheap. Yes, in my eyes, every manufacturer has obviously their cheaper material when it comes down to it, but you get what you pay for. That's what you're constantly told. Like, depending on where you want to go, how much you want to spend. You don't want to be taken advantage anywhere, which we as a company don't want to absolutely never do that. But at the same time, as you go upward in the product itself, and like you want a ceramic, and even beyond that, you want the higher end ceramics. Now, what used to cost like $50 a car for material, maybe $40 material in a car, and now it's You do a full car, you're looking at like 200-300, even more than that, depending on the vehicle itself. Like certain Tesla windows, just the material, just a single window, you're looking at $100+ just for that one window. And that's just for the material. You know, it's
gone through the roof, and that's what warrants, such a high ticket. I mean, it has to be that way.
Yeah. But especially those bigger windows, you junk one of those and
You could instantly go backwards.
yeah.
Yep, I know, absolutely. You know, I mean, I think everyone would agree. You know, everyone's in business to make. You know, you got to make profit. That's why you go into business. That's why you work. That's why you have your business. But you know, you try to set a fair price point to where it's like, I'm not trying to gouge or anything, but at the same time, like I have to have a little bit of cushion in there. God forbid something does get junked. That to where we're not going backwards now. Because I mean, even with when we started with clear bras were always kind of like a market where you try to be competitive, but at the same time, if you try to be too competitive, you end up one little mistake, you're in the negative now on that job.
So it poses the question, and we talked about it yesterday, competitiveness. There's always going to be somebody cheaper, no matter what. How far do you want to go?
See, I'm of the opinion now, but this is years of experience and recognizing it, like, and hearing other people talk about business this way. Like, I don't want to chase the guy down the road's price at all. You're making yourself a commodity, like, especially when you have the experience, the knowledge, and the reputation and the brand. Like, there's no reason to bring my price down to what somebody down the road's doing. I have to charge what I have to charge to be profitable, and just make sure my customer has the expectations set and they know what value they're getting.
Right.
And which customer are you going after? And I've got no ill will towards somebody that's, down the road at a tire shop doing $99 tint jobs. Like, I know what they're doing. I know how much their material costs. I know where they're at in their process of tinting. They probably haven't been doing it longer. If they have, they've found a little niche that works for them. They've replaced the 9 to 5 with them working for themselves, and they're okay with knowing it's not going to last because there's always somebody that's going to want a $99 tint job. That's not our typical customer. Have at it. Like,
it's a blessing.
No, he has gotten me more. Not to say that I was more like my dad was more the type of person where we had like the JC Penney model. It was a discount, like almost kind of constantly. And now we've kind of got to the point, and we've built ourselves to the point, and I've kind of recognized it in the fact of, we're selling a product, but also we're selling our service and our experience. When it comes down to it, and to devalue that and to drag something down, there is a whole range of people when it comes down to it. From the person who I just want my windows darker. I don't necessarily care what it looks like. Goes to the $99 tint shop, but it's on us to explain to them what they're getting from us. Like we had Dean Mitchell on, and when he was running his store, like he's like his eyes when he got a phone call, and they were like, first thing they asked, how much? Instantly, he set a tone with them. We're not saying tone. Well, I would say not tone. Let me think. He set the standard with them. Like, hey, if that's what you're looking for is price. Like, dude, here's my competitor's number. Here's their name. This is what they charge. It's just not me. Like, this is what you're gonna get from me. Like, this is what I bring to the table, and that here's the value that I have.
And so that's perfect. What Dean is sharing is setting the baseline for value.
Yep. Oh no, like when he said that too, like just hear like how he explained it, I was just like, that is, I like that a lot. Like that's like it was explained in a way to where it's like I already kind of was thinking that, but how he explained it was like, I couldn't agree more. It's up to us to set that I guess I don't know say standard, but to set that up for the customer and let them know like, hey, like this is what we bring to the table. This is what here's our reputation. This is the quality we bring. Like we take beyond the fact of, hey, we're using high-end materials across the board. We also, when it comes to the training of our guys, like our guys get paid really well. The reason why they get paid really well is because I want them to do a really good job on your vehicle. Like especially now, everyone's cars now are their babies. Like especially after the pandemic, when the pandemic hit and all of a sudden the inventory of cars like plummeted, like the price of vehicles is just insane. Like I bought an 09 Tacoma, and it had just under 150,000 miles on it, and I had to search for it. it still cost me $17,000. Like, I bought a brand new one in '07 for $25,000. Like, and it's just like, God, I wish I would never got rid of that car. I probably would have made some money on it. Like, oh my God.
You'll still see 90s Toyota pick up anything, and they're worth their weight in gold.
Oh yeah. Oh, and it skyrocketed. And now it's at a point where I think it definitely helped our industry, I would say, because now people, they want to protect their baby. And now with all new cars, paint protections went through the roof. And let alone that, and that's something that people still don't really know about. Like that's one of the parts of the industry that we're trying to highlight is paint protection, along with flat glass architectural, which people still to this day. We were just before you got in here, we were talking with, I don't remember his name, the gentleman that was in here, and he just found out that, oh, you can tint your house. Like, people don't know.
Yeah, I hear it every day.
Yeah,
The Toyota thing's funny. I want to come back to that for a second because that's a perfect example of quality.
Yeah.
Like that brand value, people are willing to spend the money because they know it's going to last. They know it has 150,000 miles. That doesn't mean anything. It's going to go 300.
That's
as long
why
as
I
you
bought
take
it.
care of it. Yeah.
Yep.
No,
No.
that's where the value comes from. Provide quality, do it repeatedly, and you build that brand up. Like whether it's the actual film that you're using's brand that's been around for decades and has a high quality team like you guys at Solar Gard or whichever, you know what I mean? Or us as a company. If you actually consistently produce quality, you're going to build that brand value where you can charge what you're worth.
Yep. That value, exactly.
Yeah. No, it's
I want to go back a little bit though to more of your early story.
Yeah.
So you were in Arizona this whole time or?
No, so I started off my tenure in Oregon and ended up in San Diego like 2014, 15-ish. Maybe a little bit more before that. Didn't do work on my own at that point, or not very much, rather. I did 99% just like subcontract work. I loved it. It was cool, and it afforded me the opportunity to be on some of the biggest projects, ever.
And get to work with a lot of people, so I'm sure that helped improve your learning curve like crazy.
So I did a lot of work for Campbell out in Los Angeles, and gosh, Brad taught me so many cool things.
I don't know. I guess I'm almost a little bit of jealousy in the fact that like that's a part of the industry that I never got to involve myself in, just because I had the local shop, worked for just stayed in town as an installer. That's definitely something that I look back and that would have been fun. Like just be able to like the subcontract kind of pop around, because I know like what National NGS National Glazing Solutions is pretty much, hey, here's the project, it's in this town, go do it. This is how many square feet you got to go do. Here you go, film will be there. Like it even when it came down to it, after 9/11, Solar Gard landing,
the
Armor
whole-
Coat landing, what, like 90% or majority of Washington D.C. Yeah, see, like
I just missed it. I wasn't 18 yet, and they
so
wouldn't
I
let me
was-
go on it.
I was
But
in
I
middle school,
wanted
so
to
no
go
chance.
back. I've heard so many cool stories about that project, but I've heard
Yeah.
good and bad.
I have the picture in front of the Capitol building. I got it from Tom's office. It's still hanging up there.
Were you able to? Did you install anything out there? No. Yeah. See, like, yeah, no. I see the photos of like even like the tunnels, like going from building to building, stuff like that. Like that's just like the whole setup of where they had to film, like how they were logistically not getting the job done. Like that just seems like that'd been a fun project to be a part of.
Oh gosh, yeah, and one to be proud of. Dennis McMillan at Interwest, he just told me all about it. It's awesome.
Oh no, that's I can't tell you how many times I've used that story use that story to kind of throw out there or educate of kind of what Armor Coat is and how good Armor Coat is itself, of what they landed and what they did and where it's at. Especially when it came down to it, like how, if I'm not mistaken, it was when the Pentagon got hit, it had security film on it, the section that I got hit on, and that right there was like, after that, it was like they security filmed the entire Capitol, like instantly, right after 9/11. All of a sudden that contract came in. Like I remember my dad bringing it up and talking about it. And like I said, I was in middle school, so there was no shot in hell they were going to allow me to go hang film. But at the time I was hanging film, and like that had been a fun project to be a part of.
Oh gosh, yeah, one to be proud of.
Oh yeah,
forever.
oh yeah.
And it ended up getting, actually, I bought my first condo right out of high school because we landed the city of Henderson, new city hall building that had just been built. And we ended up doing the first 2 phases of that. So we tinted most of the entire building. By the 3rd phase, they had so many people bidding on it, and somebody like super lowballed it, and we just weren't going to chase it down. So we just kind of kept pricing it where we were at. But either way, that was a huge project. You know, I made enough money in 2 weeks and just installing on that job to put a down payment on a house. It was like, and that was like, okay, these are the types of jobs we can get in the tin industry. This is awesome.
So that brings up a really good point, because you mentioned the low ball bidder. What's your opinion on such as like armor coat certification or medical safety shield, making it a requirement?
Oh, that's one of the big reasons why we're doing this, is bringing light and attention to parts of our industry that don't get talked about, that people don't know exist. Security film being a huge part of it, and then also what needs to be done for it to actually work. Like actually, like I can't tell you how many bids I've gone on where I'm telling them what the film can do. Yeah, like it's not going to completely keep someone out of your house 100%. Like there's nothing that will. Like I'll get a sledgehammer, I'll go through your drywall. Like there's nothing that can keep someone completely out of your house. But it's going to buy you time if it's done properly, and also you put the appropriate attachments and everything with it on the right windows. I'll go on a job or a bid, and then I'll explain to them, okay, these are your tempered windows, this is annealed glass. Explain the difference between the glass. Don't have to go with the security attachments here. Tempered, have to. Requirement. I tell everyone
No matter what.
that we won't do a job. Like if you have tempered windows and you want to bypass the silicone, I don't want to do it, because it's not doing anything for you. It's making it, if anything, easier for them to break in, because now it's just going to fall on one sheet. If anything, it's going to make it an easy cleanup for you. I mean, so you have one sheet of glass instead of a bunch of glass all over the place. But I'll have people that will say that, oh, the last place told me that it was optional. I'm like, no chance it's optional. You have to have an anchoring system.
So that poses the point, and it's been brought up. We've talked about it internally for a lot lately, is how oversold window film is. In addition, many years ago, being oversold in Florida for hurricane protection.
I remember that.
That's scary. Yeah. And there's so many outfits out there that oversell, and brought up my point, such as safety shield or armor coat certification.
Oh no, it's and then I'll go on the bid where, like, usually on a home, 8 mil. Like before that, it used to be the standard kind of was it'd be 8 mil on tempered always, and then we'd sell 4 mil on everything else, just because
human impact.
Yeah, it's going to provide enough protection or enough of a security blanket to where majority of the smash and grab that you're trying to stop, they're going to hit that. They're not going to get in. They're going to hit it again, and they're not going to get in. And majority of the time, they're not hitting those places. It's always
entry.
Yeah, it's entry. It's front door, side light to the front door to smash that in, reach in, unlock your door, get in, or they go to the back of the house and they go through your sliders. Now it's 8 mils the standard on everything. Like I think we have a good amount of standing inventory right now, 4 mil, that I literally, when it comes down to it, I upgrade. If we do a house where they put 8 mil on the whole downstairs, and like what about upstairs? And we're like, no, there's no reason to do your second story windows in 8 mil. And so we'll just do the matching film, the corresponding film, to put so the house matches on the outside. And also they're looking for heat rejection too. So it used to be stainless steel. Now it's TrueView, which I'm very excited about.
I didn't know that happened until the rolls showed up, and I was so excited about it. I was like, what is this?
God, I mean, Solar Gard hat off. Let me my Scott hat. TrueView 8 mil is the best thing to come out in years.
The fact that we're gonna have a security film that rejects that much heat and
is dual reflective.
Like I know that we as dealers have been kind of clamoring about it for some time. So when I got the text from Michelle and Misty when they were at the Panorama meeting, they just sent me pictures of the sample sheets. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
I was like, finally, this is gonna be great. Like this is, I mean, before I think as Misty got back the first week, we already sold 2 jobs, and then I called to order it, and they're like, whoa, we'll have full inventory January. I'm like, oh. But I was able to. You guys did have a few rolls, in which I know me and Rob had this conversation. Like when he sent me what you guys had, there was a part of me that almost ordered all of it, and he was like, "Thank you for not doing that." And I was like, he's like, "We only have so much. I want kind of other people to use." I was like, I had to think about it, and I knew my mom was going to roast me if all of a sudden if I ordered, what would have been like, I think it was like 16 or 17 rolls, but
It was kind of one of those things. Does it exist yet? Does it?
yeah. And it was, yeah. So it was, it was nice to get our hands on a couple rolls, and like we've already installed it in a couple projects, and a couple projects where they didn't need security in the parts of the building, and they wanted security in the back of it, but they wanted the same film. So I mean, very easy. TreeView 15 security on the back, TreeView 15 everywhere else.
It's awesome. Miguel sent me some a month or so ago. I installed it on one of our training windows. So when Suit and Ties came to Phoenix, they got to see it, and it's beautiful.
Oh yeah, no, I as they were cutting that job up, I was able to go. I was back there and I grabbed it, and it was like, it looks like I look forward to the project that I get to actually go install on, because I'm not doing too much installing these days. Usually it's like about a couple hundred feet a year, and then I go to the competition.
Hey, by the way, I interrupt. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
I should have started off with that.
No, get out of here. Stop. Knock it off.
He just got lucky. I didn't have a good day.
I've only been told that for the past 6, 7 competitions, but okay. But no, getting back to 8 mil being kind of the standard on houses now, I'll have competition, or we'll have other shops bidding a job, and they unfortunately use the one aspect about safety film that I hate. I kind of hate selling that product, because now I'm selling a product to a customer. The reason why they have to put this on their house, because they're in fear of being in their home. And I'm happy I have a product to do it, to where they don't got to put bars up. They don't got to put, they have those screens, which, I mean, it's all in preference, but the same thing, like a metal screen on your windows, it just feels like you're having to close yourself into your house, and that sucks. But they'll come in and they'll use that fear and like, oh yeah, 12 mil, 14 mil on a home. I'm like, I don't think that's necessary. When you get past 8 mil, now you're starting to get into the territory where you're going to see the wave in the film. I mean, it does obviously depend on the product and what you're selling. But what it'll come down to too is a lot of those companies that are doing that, they're buying it from a warehouse who has a ton of just over stocked 12 mil. That not high quality film when it comes down to it. They're getting it for a bottom dollar price, and that's why they're really pushing it on you. Is that when if you go with a high quality product, you don't need to go thicker than 8 mil. I mean, you guys have tests done with 8 mil and attachments for blast mitigation. And that's where I usually go. It's like, if you're going thicker than 8 mil, that is usually government property, and they are literally putting it on there for blast mitigation, for a bomb to go off. And as soon as I say that, they're like, oh, no, I don't need that. And then when it comes down to it, too, yes, the product does cost more, but then the labor goes up, too, because you go thicker than 8 mil, it increases the install time dramatically.
I'm sore just thinking about it.
Yeah, it's not fun.
Well, he just used to just install the 8 mil on all the tempered glass. Like, I remember going on those jobs like, 8 mil. Now 8 mil is like standard film. Like when we get to using regular film, it's like, oh, this is nice. This is easy. And then we kind of got the experience which made 8 mil even easier. We've had a couple projects this past year and we had a school too that we put 14 mil on. We put the Armor Coats clear 14 mil on an entire school this year. And after installing that stuff, you go back to 8 mil and you're like, this is paper. Like this is just like this. From an installer's perspective, it's like we made installing 8 mil so much easier for somebody, just working with the 14 mil to begin with. And that's all pretty much pre-cut to exact size. And that's what adds on to the 14 mil experience is you're measuring exactly. And then you're pre-cutting this, all of it, majority of your shop, at least 3 edges. And then you might hand cut 1 edge on the project just because of how thick the film is and to do it properly.
Yeah, I mean, the only time I would ever like cut on the glass is if it's solar.
Yeah.
Solar security. I mean, gosh, clear security. I mean, always cut exact. Brings up the importance of film handler. It's amazing how many folks out there don't see the value of spending $1,000. It's the best tool that you could ever buy.
Oh, it took him some time and the convincing. Again,
Yeah, for the longest time, we were bending
burning,
over, breaking our backs, cutting out of a box. And it's like, let's cut out the film handler. We're going to save some film. We can cut the patterns way more precise on security film. Let's cut it exact. We can be a little shy because we're going to attach it. Like, why not?
Yeah.
I get people's resistance because they know that they can just cut out of a box.
Oh, I can too. It doesn't mean I want to.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it comes down to you have the old school guys, and like I know that when I say that, it sounds stupid because people look at me and they're like, "What do you mean old school?" It's like, well, I'm 20 years into this industry. I started when I was really installing when I was 14, so I'm about 20 years into installing right now. I got really good at cutting out of box. I'm really efficient at it because I had years of practice. A film handler, I can teach you that tool in a week, and then you will be just as efficient, and then you'll get faster, quicker, without the cutting anything short. Because everyone who cuts out of a box has had the experience where all of a sudden you're cutting it and you're not paying attention to that tension, and then you go to put that film up, and then that bottom corner is just not there. You're just like, God damn. And then you recut it, but it's a tool that, just like a plotter, when it comes to the auto side, it's a tool that unless you start using it, you're never going to get efficient in it, and you're always going to badmouth it. I was on that side for a little bit, and then I started using it, and it was like, oh, I get it. And we had an installer that was so resistant, like he hated it. He never wanted to use it. I think actually never really did.
Still to this day, I'm out in the field, and I still see it.
You know what I think a lot of it is not just the old school mentality, but scale and size too. Like if it's a 1 or 2 person operation and you know your workflow and you know what you can get done, the extra little time that is saved. Like for us now, when we train people, the fact that I can bring in somebody new that's an apprentice, has no skills or abilities at all, but they can instantly make everybody that does have skills and ability that much faster. Loading the vehicle, train them with the film handler immediately to where when everything's getting cut and ready, they can help cut and roll patterns. They like all of those little things that you can take time away from your skilled installer that already can install, show up on a job, they help unload everything, start prepping windows, the tinner just starts tinning, they come in to clean. Like those things you can train people really quickly. And the film handler is one of them. Like it takes a long time to trust somebody to do the math and cut everything out of a box and know that they're not going to waste a bunch of your film. But like the way we're doing it now with Tint is we print the labels, we put them up by the film handler, pull the size rolls that we need, and they know if it's a 58-inch tall window, we're going to use a 60-inch roll and pull a ½ inch over the width, and that's going to give us an inch extra. And I can train somebody to do that in like a week or two. And they're instantly saving me time. Because typically in the past, it would be the skilled installer, the most skilled person on the project. You'd show up, put the box on the ground, and start cutting patterns for 30 minutes, an hour, depending on the size of the job, maybe longer. And nothing's being tinted yet.
Just shows the importance of, especially on commercial, having a project manager there.
Yeah.
Oh, no, absolutely. We thankfully have been able to start. We've scaled to that size now, and we're still trying to scale bigger and be more efficient. And that's kind of what we implemented now. Like, he is now at a phase where it's like, I've told him numerous times, I don't want you installing. I want you training your guys, and then you're going to be running projects. You're the one who's going to you cut the patterns, or you like get it to the point where they're walking in the morning. Here's your van. Here's your job. What do you need from me? Go knock it out. Call me if you got any questions.
It's a real tough one to take off the tool belt.
And it's this past year.
I'll never stop installing to some capacity because there's always a need for it too. Like there's always, like we've got 4 jobs booked for a day, and one of them's like one window, arch window on a tilt-up ladder. Like my guys don't want to go do that anyways. You know, they're not gonna make a lot of money on that job. If I can go knock it out, get it out of the way, get the hard stuff out of the way, and let them feast on the 400 or 500 square foot house where they're actually gonna make some money, like perfect. So there's always gonna be a role for that. Like I'll never stop doing stuff like that.
And you say that now, and let's say
I enjoy it too much, man.
Believe me, I love installing. Like that's, I mean, my main thing for this after the competition, like the reason why I've stated numerous times, like I want to judge now. Like I'm not in my eyes, I'm already hardly installing as it comes down to it, just because I don't have time to go install. Like it's just we got a billion other things kind of going on. You know, that is
Working on the business.
Yeah.
Well, finally doing what a lot of people told us that we should have been doing not to begin with, but like we're at that point now. If we want to start scaling and getting bigger and get our crews bigger and go after the bigger projects, like we have to. Like you need to put the tool belt down and you need to start working on your business. And like we always heard that, we finally we have implemented that now. Like for me, this past year, install wise. I mean, you could consider me just not an installer, I guess, when it comes down to it, to what everyone else is doing in the company. Yes, I still help with clear bras, and I love installing. I absolutely do. But when it comes down to it, I got to work on the other thing to get my installers more work and build the business. You know, like in my eyes, build the awareness, and that's especially one of the things we're doing with this is get out there what can be done, inform the people, because there is so many clients out there that just have no clue about certain things. So we're not in competition with anyone around us. Like we're in competition with ourselves.
Exactly.
That's what it comes down to. It took me a while to understand that. And I think that just comes with obviously just more laps around the sun is just understanding that. And like, I definitely was, and I mean, I'll admit it, I'm still extremely cocky when it comes down to installing. Like, I think that you have to have...
But cocky is proud.
Well, you have to have that drive in my eyes if you're going to, especially when it comes to the competition, and if you're going to install at that elite level, you better be that confident in yourself. Like, that's what makes those installers really good. Like, all the top guys that I know that I'm friends with, that I've got to know over the years, in my eyes, they're all the same way. They don't present it, but, like, when you talk to them about it, like, they all, I would say... in their minds, are like, no, I am extremely good at what I do, and I will beat you. Like,
Well, they've got the receipts. They know what they've been doing. You
Yeah.
know, like when you know that you're doing something well, you know. And I've got a question for you, kind of going back a little bit. What we were just talking about. What as far as like consumer awareness goes, it's like a really hot topic, and educating the public on what options are available. What do you see as the biggest opportunities in the industry right now, coming from a rep side, coming from the manufacturer side, as far as being able to educate the public on products that have more opportunity to educate more people, that like provide value to people?
Packages. In the automotive sector, packages. You do your PPF window tint and a ceramic coating as a package. I mean, the tickets are just insane.
yeah.
I think those are the best opportunities for the automotive side. Huge.
Product-wise, though, what would you say for, I would say I'm going to ask for both auto and then also architectural. Product-wise, what would be for the consumer? I mean, in my eyes, I think we already talked about it. Paint protection is a huge one for the auto side. For the flat glass side, with all the new windows and stuff and everything coming out, what would be the hot topic? I'm going to say hot topic, but what is something, I mean...
Would best educate the end consumer on like what problem can be solved.
So for flat glass, I think glass education is your job, my job, and it's sorely not taken advantage of.
Oh, I was definitely in that. I was definitely there, and then we finally jumped and got a glass check pro elite. Got the best meter. And then I had to take over sales for the first like 3 months of this year because of our lead sales rep. She was on maternity leave. She gave birth to her son, so I went back out on sales. Like I did sales when my dad was out of town when I was younger. So like when I was 20, 21, like when they would go on vacation, I'm the one who stepped in to do all the flat glass sales and stuff like that. So I remember it wasn't so much of a problem back then, just because glass wasn't as crazy as it was now.
Got some fancy glass now.
Oh, every new home I step into, I still meter the window, but like it's like I don't necessarily have to, because as soon as I put that meter on a hit, I know what's going to come back. It's either going to come back surface to soft coat 2-layer low E coating, or it comes back triple. so low E soft low E coating, and it's like at that point, just to be upfront with my customer, like, all right, see all this ceramic and all this high end stuff over here, pointless, not going to do anything for you. A great conversation I had with Miguel is I had a customer who wanted to take, he had a gym, and he wanted to take the film off. He wanted to feel a little bit more open in the gym. So I told him, like, can I strip an area of your window down? I want to meter the glass. I want to see what type of glass you have, just so I know what I can and can't do for you and what it's actually going to do for you. Threw the meter on there, and it was double layer low E coating on surface too. Miguel was like, highlight's pointless. There's no reason for it. It's already doing everything that highlight's going to do. So yes, you could sell him that product, but you're just, it's not that the product doesn't do its job, but on that glass, it's not adding any value to that window.
That gets back to you talking about people overselling stuff.
Overselling.
Yeah.
We're in the desert Southwest, and highlight. It's highlight. It's the best film out there. I mean, it's beautiful. But silver. It's the ugliest sin, but it's been around for 100 years for a reason, because it works.
Yep. Oh, and that's where Miguel told me is like, when it comes down to it, you got to take light off that window now. You got to make it darker. That's the only thing that is going to provide further heat rejection on those windows. And that's when I go into someone's new house and I meter it and I tell them, okay, this is the type of glass you have. Your glass is amazing. Like it's the one thing that's great right now is that your glass is already holding out this part of the spectrum when it comes to heat. So all of my clear stuff, you want clear and heat rejection, your window's doing it. Only way for me to add value to your windows now is you got to go with at least a 40%. That's what Miguel told me. So you need to take that down at least to a 40, which yes, you could sell them highlight 40, but there's zero reason for that, because you could throw a slate 40 on there, and slate 40 isn't really adding that much reflectivity to your window, even slate 30, because all natural glass now, because of the coatings that are already built into the glass, they're already highly reflective. Because that's the one thing that HOAs will hound on is, we don't want, what do they say, silver? No. How do they word it? I think it's reflective.
Yeah, I don't know.
They word it reflective, but at the same time, they word it horribly in my eyes, because I'll drive through a neighborhood and you'll see the appropriate films kind of put on people's houses, and they don't want silver. Unfortunately, that's the one film they don't. They don't want to drive past your house and it look like a mirror inside your bathroom. If you go with a dual reflective film, it has more of a natural low E look to it. Like, people will be hesitant to either put like a slate 10 or even slate 30 on their window because they see that reflectivity in the film, and you show it to them and you're like, it is more of a natural, in my eyes, gold color. Mm-hmm. It looks like a low E window. And as soon as you install it, they're like, oh,
looks nice.
It looks nice.
Yeah.
And then let alone you also tell them too. Like, I've had numerous customers where like, well, I'm not sure if my HOA is going to be okay with it. And I'll end my sale with, I'm going to drive the neighborhood. Or I'll do this to begin with too. Sometimes while I'm driving in, I'll make sure I'm looking at houses while I'm driving in. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I spot 3 or 4 homes with tint on it, I can then put the customer at ease. Like, no, your HOA don't care. Because I spotted 2 or 3 homes that have high reflective windows. And obviously if they've been like that, or your HOA is not going to care. Or I'll leave it and say, hey, I'm going to go drive your neighborhood now. I'll let you know if I see any houses with film on them, because they're a little hesitant because they don't want to deal with the fight of going for approval from HOA, which not necessary. You're doing this inside of your home. You're saving energy. You're saving money because of that. Like, they can bully you to a point, but they just want it professionally installed, and they just don't want that silver.
But honestly, how many, we've been doing this for however long, and the HOAs can be a pain on a lot of stuff out here. I don't think I can recall one customer ever actually having an issue with us installing film with an HOA, ever.
That's a blessing.
So out here, I think most people recognize that it's a necessity.
It is. It's, I mean, Vegas, Phoenix,
Yeah.
It goes back to the value thing, highlight or prestige, something like that, is obviously blessed right off the bat. But something like slate or night vision, just going down that road, I would do such a better job. But value, you're talking, a $2 product versus a $5 product.
Yeah.
Oh no, absolutely. It comes down to glass, like you said, the glass awareness. Like, knowing what you're installing on, because you need to know what you're installing on, because that's the other big fear is builders will scare people out of film. Your warranty's gone on your windows. And absolutely it is. I've got no problem telling every single one of my consumers that you're going to lose your warranty. But that's okay, because we have amazing brands behind us that we buy from, Solar Gard, Saint Gobain, where if we have a glass breakage, and if your window breaks, it's not because of, yes, I guess you could say yes, it is a little bit of the film, but what it comes down to, your window was already a defaulted window. There was already something wrong with that window, and putting that little extra stress on that window is what caused it to break. But that's why you guys stand behind that. As long as you put the appropriate film on the window, you put the wrong film on that window, it's going to break. And if you do that, the manufacturer's going to go, well, you shouldn't have done that. And like you guys have a list of films that are either, hey, this is questionable, this needs to be approved. And every time I have something like that, I take them, I'll meter the window, and then I usually send it in to Miguel. I'm like, hey, am I good? Good to go. Like I had one guy who wanted to, was looking for a price for Highlight 25. He wanted zero reflectivity, but he wanted to make his house darker. Like he wanted privacy. So I metered the windows. It was triple low E, soft coat. Miguel's like, good to go. He said you're good to go. He's like, by the time there's not enough heat getting to that window to where it's going to break. Now he told me that I needed to submit it for an approval. Didn't go through with the project, but finding out though that I could do that because of the glass, because majority of the time you put that Highlight 25 on annealed glass, and if it, depending on what coatings it has, that's breaking the hell out of that window 9 times out of 10. But on the right window, and knowing that you're installing on the correct canvas, good to go. And then it comes with the approval from Solar Gard. And I would assume almost every manufacturer, I not assume, I actually know for a certainty. Same thing with 3M too. It comes down to, you just have to know what you're working on, have the meters, know that's that glass, and as long as the manufacturer knows, like, all right, you did your due diligence,
Right.
we're good to go.
And that's why, 3M, Eastman, well, Lumar, us, we offer those extended warranties, like it's such as Premier Plus, and 25 cents is worth its weight in gold.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, to me, that's the steps into the spot of the education, informing your customer what's behind the product. It's not just I'm sticking this film on the window and here you go. And no, this is what comes with this product. Lifetime warranty on the film itself. Film ever goes bad, if it is a product failure, gets replaced. Like I can't say I've gone on too many warranties when it comes to panorama. Just in my eyes, I've never seen the film really fail yet. I mean, I've been installing Slate since it came out. It's still one of my favorite films to install.
Oh, for sure.
Slate is the most beautiful DR on Mother Earth.
It's my favorite film to install. Also, I actually got to go on a warranty job when I was still in Texas, so probably 2013. It wasn't a warranty, but Solar Gard contacted me that whoever installed it in 2002 wasn't in business anymore. So they contacted me because I was nearby. Person had a ball go through a window, and split window that opens, and they had to have the window replaced. I go out there. It's 2013, so it's over 10 years since the film was initially installed, and install a brand new piece of Slate 30 right next to a window that been tinted 10 years ago.
It's on point.
You couldn't tell the difference at all. Not even there was no difference. Like the film looked identical.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, so it definitely lasts. I don't think I've ever come across a warranty
the
job.
Bad thing about any of that era is all the dry adhesive.
CDA, yes.
Yeah.
And that comes down to, unfortunately, now it's just an installer's problem.
So this is an educational moment for any young installers out there that have just transitioned from auto to flat or thinking about doing it.
Do not buy the overstock CDA.
Yeah.
Do not install
Well,
it.
it's great to install. That's the problem. It was like it got everybody because it was like, oh, this drop roll is awesome. It cleans out if you get dirt in it. Amazing. The problem is 10, 20 years down the line when you got to go remove an entire building.
Sore just thinking about it.
It does not come off.
It was 2018. We were on a Lumar R&R. Oh, it was horrible. The removal.
Yeah.
It's just amazing how horrible that removal is.
Yep. You scrape it off, and you scrape it again. You scrape it again, and then you wet scrape it. And then even when installing is a nightmare because you're still not getting rid of all the coating because it's a chemical bond. It is permanently bonded to the window. If anything, I think it definitely had its obviously perks for an installer, but I think it obviously, in my eyes, it did set back the industry a little bit because it stopped the improvement of pressure sensitive, which now pressure sensitive glue is
On point.
That's what I was going to say. When you guys switched to all pressure sensitive and it still drop rolled, I was just like,
It's win-win-win.
Yeah.
Win-win-win.
Yeah.
But no, when it comes to even the warranties, like that's another big thing to make sure that you have. If you are getting work done, is knowing the brand that is being put on is not to say reputable brand, but a brand that's going to stand behind their products no matter what, and just do the right thing. I think the one panorama warranty I've been on, or the first one I ever went on, wasn't even your guys' product. It was literally someone, unfortunately, in the valley that was using the panorama logo, pitching it like they were selling it, and it was bronze, and it was not in bronze. Because that's what Panorama's bronze is. It's on bronze. Beautiful looking film. And
I wish it still existed.
It doesn't, does it? Yeah.
we've got like 2 partial rolls still
we
that
still
are
got
kind
a
of
bit.
sitting there.
Keep it. It's worth its weight. in
Yeah,
gold.
We just had, a little off topic, we just had, unfortunately, a warranty, which we'll talk after this. Bronze, HP bronze 22. I had a roll for the longest time, and now I'm finally out of it. And one of my customers gouged his window, and he needs his window warranty. And I'm like, I got to try to find a piece, man. Like, I don't have any more. It hasn't been made in ages. I got to try to search and find a shop. So I have a feeling I'm not
We'll
going
see if we can't find it.
Okay.
When I was first hired, Kendall told me at Solar Gard, nothing really ever goes away. I'll hold him against that word.
All right. So yeah, no, I need to find one door worth. And that, I mean, we had a 20-inch roll that I was usually using to install on all cars. Like even back windows, I told him like I can do it. You're getting a seam. Now you're not going to see the seam because I'm going to drop it into your defroster. And by the time I got done, it looked like a one-piece window. But I had to let them know like, hey, this is going to be seamed. Like if you want this bronze color, because bronze does look great in the right situation when it comes down to it. But no, that one warranty customer, like they had contacted Solar Gard, talked to them, and when it came down to it, they contacted us and said, just go take care of this guy. Send us, when we didn't have to send the material, but I guess credit us the material, and then paid us to go strip and tint this guy's 2 doors because it was bubbling. It wasn't bubbling. It was a horrible install. It was dirt. It was just dirt, like almost buckshot into the window. And the customer finally noticed it a couple years later, and still, Solar Gard stood behind it. Their name was being flashed, and they care that much about their name and their reputation and the fact that they present themselves in a way like we really care about our customers and our clientele, including us, and then beyond us, our clientele. Like the guy was like, after talking to him and explaining to him, like, yeah, the guy that you had to install this is not a Panorama dealer. And like Solar Gard even told him that too, which the dude was not happy about, but then sent us out, and then we were able to gain another client because of it. Like I think we ended up tinting a couple cars for the guy, and like, beyond that, I would assume if he ever did get his house retinted or he moved, we probably ended up working on that home too. And thankfully, it's because we have partnered ourselves with companies that when it comes down to it, they know that like take care of the consumer, take care of the customer,
And that's win-win. But it's also sad for the industry, just how many low-rent companies there are. Articulate that properly.
Yeah.
But it gives, so many of those folks, it gives the industry a bad name.
Oh, absolutely. And again, another huge driving force for us doing this is put the word out of this is what the standard is. This is how something should technically be installed. This is what is expected of any manufacturer of how a job needs to be done and treated. You need to check your glass, make sure you know what you're installing on, because that leaves a sour taste in everyone's mouth. Like, oh, I just got my windows tinted and my window broke, and the company's not getting back to me. Like, and then like, again, now that sour experience now spreads. Like, oh, don't get your windows tinted. It's not worth it.
Right.
It's just going to break your windows.
Exactly.
And that just spreads out constantly. It's very unfortunate because, yes, it hurts our industry.
And it's so easy to be impressionable to a resi customer. Just do those things. Go buy the $1,700 meter. You'll win.
Oh, absolutely.
I think a lot of the stuff that's happening like that is a consequence of the barrier for entry is so low. How many stories have we heard already now? Just people coming on here, and we've heard over the years of people starting right out of high school, able to buy a roll and just start doing it with no experience and kind of learn on the fly, because there are good profit margins in doing this job, and all of a sudden people get short-sighted and want to make a buck today and don't even sometimes know that they're taking a shortcut that's going to cost them in the long run, and they're just ill-informed. So it's like the cool thing now with YouTube and podcasts and everything we've got today is I think people that are getting in the industry have the ability, if they put the effort in, to actually get educated on stuff. It goes back to what you're talking about on certification programs. So I know you guys are doing it for the security film now, for Armor Coat. But how do we actually get an industry standard developed where there's something that the end consumer recognizes as, oh, these people are certified? Right now, it's kind of an advantage to us actually being an established brand with 40 years of experience. It's one of our huge selling points. Like, there isn't anything like that in the industry, but we've got 40 years of experience that is better than any like initial training you can get. So how do we get there?
I think personally, all manufacturers, not all manufacturers are part of it, but all manufacturers should tighten up with IWFA, make that the body. I mean, it has been for, zillion years, but be stringent about it. Certification classes, just instill more value.
I'd be even interested to know if Solar Gard has ever entertained, beyond just Armor Coat certification, like for safety film, just in general certification, just for flat glass, and just having a program to where it's like, all right, you need to inspect your glass, like, and educating just on that point. So when the installers are going out, they're not just throwing up whatever and just going for it.
I think that's something that should be mandatory. I don't know if you guys remember, but having to be certified to be an Ecolux dealer.
Yep. Oh yeah. No,
we had to take that whole test.
That was in Orlando. That's when that product got dropped. We had to take that test to begin with, and
I got mine. I mean, there's so much that you need to know there, and like Thinsulate and Interlogic doesn't exist anymore, but maybe there's a reason for that. I mean, that's above my pay grade.
Oh no, Ecolux is definitely one of those products where
I've got it on some of the windows of my house. There's some older windows that are up high that face north, don't get a lot of direct sunlight,
not low E,
but they're big and they're old and not low E. And it was like, we've got some scraps of this. Actually, it's kind of funny. They've got the slats in the window that are like the little white bars that go across that make it look like it's multiple windows, but it's really one big 5x5 above my front door. We had scrap pieces that were just wide enough to fit in between those, and I put it in 3 pieces because it's my house and I don't care. And honestly, once I was done, and you get down, those bars are hiding it to where you can't tell at all. But it was like, this film's expensive, and I know it's going to save me a ton of energy, but that film's amazing.
It's amazing, and it's sad because it's the most undersold product out there. And I get it; it's ungodly expensive, but it's worth its weight in gold. It should be sold like it's going out of style. I heard, in fact, my kid told me that Expel's selling one now as well. Gosh, I hope they do great with it, but they need to have the education, and I don't know that, but that's a complex product.
Yeah, being able to actually explain that to a customer in a way that you don't need a physics degree to understand what's going on is the hard part. All right, so these are the different spectrum. I know, that is a tough one. Even to get that wrapped around your head, that's what was cool that you guys did that class and you had to actually get certified and actually understand the difference between low E and solar rejection.
Yeah, I didn't know what low E was. I mean, before that, I kind of knew what it was, but after that introduction of that film and doing the certification, it was like, okay, that's what low E does, and that's the benefit that can be added. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, a couple of years after that, or the year after that, I'm assuming, I don't know if it's still the same, but Phoenix was one of the hot spot areas it was being sold in, and Phoenix is pretty much identical weather to what we have. And you would think like, hold on, it only holds out this much heat. It only holds, I think it's what, 55? Yeah, 55% of heat. And when you have products that can hold higher, and that also is another thing, knowing and actually selling a product for what it's going on, instead of saying, like, oh, yes, 80% heat rejection. Well, what type of glass are you installing it on? Is it dual pane? No, it's actually like 67. You're misleading the customer when it comes down to it. You're not being as truthful as you can be with the customer. The plus side to Ecolux, and I think that film actually is, in my eyes, is primed to blow up, because right now you have a bunch of windows and homes that are now getting kind of to the point where energy is going through the roof. And every aspect of energy is going through the roof of what it costs. And instead of me having to replace all the windows on my house now, and because I don't have low E windows, and with low E is heat retention, keeping heat inside your home. So with Ecolux, you're actually going to have 12 months of savings. Like, you're not just like, everyone worries about Vegas and Phoenix, like, it's so hot. Yeah, it's only hot here for like 3 months. This year we only had like technically like 2 months of really, really hot weather, at least I guess to our standards hot weather, triple digits. But now in the winter, when it does, I mean, we are in a desert. Deserts get cold. We get down to, I mean, I think the last couple mornings have been like 48, and it'll get lower. I can put a film on your window now that's going to save you money throughout the entire year. It's going to keep that heat inside of your home. So now you're not burning the candle at both ends when it comes down to it, like now in the winter.
And even in the summer, you're getting the solar rejection at the lower number, but those north-facing windows or the east-facing windows that only get 2 hours of sun in the morning, they're still blocking the ambient heat of 110 degree all day. Like,
so when you sell 12 or 365 value, $9 doesn't really sound that bad.
you know?
No, absolutely
A
not.
$9 product.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I will say it's definitely a product that is not extremely undersold, not brought to the light, and it comes down to it. You get the sticker shock that comes with the film, and especially for us as dealers, we get one size roll, so you have to take into account for how much material do I actually have to buy for this job, depending on the size of the windows, because you're going to end up with wasted film or a scrap of some sort that most likely isn't usable at all when it comes down to it. So it's just gonna be kind of tossed away. So you have to price the job appropriately.
Customers has to pay for it.
Yeah, you're not trying to gouge, but you have to cover the material that has to be done for the job. But now, instead of replacing all the windows in your house that are going to be upwards of like 100,000, like depending on what type of window you're going with, like if you're going with an extremely high end like Anderson renewal, like those windows, I mean that's like one of the best windows you can get. But
Oddly expensive.
yeah, you're getting a second mortge. Like
John Mitchell and I were talking the other day. He got a quote for replacing the windows on the back of his house. It's not a lot of windows. I think he said like 6 or something like that. $25,000.
Yeah. We had a customer recently, like in the Lake Las Vegas area, that we ended up tinting some of the windows that were east facing. They said they're going to have to come back and do the rest. But they had gotten a couple quotes, and they weren't Anderson windows. They weren't like the top tier. And this is 2,000 square foot house. They said the lowest bid they got was $120,000 to replace all the windows.
oh, we had one of our
Yeah,
employees.
I was like, what?
One of our employees. She got the Anderson quote, and that's where she got hit with triple digit or six figures, and she was like, I'm not looking to pay another mortgage, so she found another company, and it came in. I think she only replaced the windows in the main house because she has a guest house in the back. She only replaced the windows in the main house, and it still ended up being, I think it was like around 20,000 or 30,000. Like it's.
So you do the math because a builder's window at Home Depot, they're really good windows. Go do a taster's choice, money for money.
Oh, and then beyond that too, if you are going to replace the windows, majority of the time, what has to, depending on what kind of window you do have, how it has to come out, all the work that has to go around ripping the window out and putting the window in. You're technically you're weakening the structure when it comes down to it, like ripping something out. So if your window is in working order, like you're not leaking air, because that is sometimes, like, obviously film can't do anything about that. We can only deal with what the glass is giving us. But if your windows are complete working order, and the only problem that you have is it's just clear glass with no coatings anywhere, like, we can absolutely service that at, like, technically, depending on how far you want to go with the quality of the glass itself, almost a fraction of the price, a quarter of the price, if that. And it's a 1 day thing. It's not a couple day thing. And then you
so
know,
much less intrusive.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. You know, that is one thing I do love about our industry is being able to provide those kind of products for customers.
Especially nowadays with exterior products coming so far.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
absolutely.
actually. I've got a bunch of DX on the backside of my house because I was like, I'm gonna max out heat rejection. I'm gonna do it myself anyways. And what's cool with that is that some of those windows are actually some of those older, thinner. I mean, my home's 30 years old. They're old double pane windows. I plan on getting another roll of Ecolux and putting Ecolux on the inside of those older windows because most of my windows have actually been replaced, but it's those up high windows that haven't been. And it's
Those
like,
expensive ones. Yeah, get a ladder out
oh,
from that, boys.
I DX the outside of them, get crazy solar energy rejection, and now I can make them low E by putting a little bit of Ecolux on the inside surface, and that window is going to smoke most brand new windows. Like,
DX is absolutely amazing.
yeah, we've installed a lot of it in the last year, and it's one of my new favorites. I never thought I'd enjoy installing exterior as much as I do. It's actually a lot of times it's a lot easier. I don't have to move anybody's furniture. It's
Or if you're trying to get behind a wall or something, even a commercial setting. And then the great thing is how it matches up to the other films too. Like DX15 and was it Slate or TrueView?
DX15 against TrueView 15 or Slate 10, and side by side, you cannot. You can't
It's
tell.
right
You have to
there.
be looking for it to be able to tell the difference.
You have to have a
I've done it twice now. One of them was an arch window that had a shutter fan on it that was like not coming off unless I had a contractor take it off. At the bottom windows we could access, so we put Slate 10 on the bottom, and then I told them like I'm not exactly sure how good of a match this is going to be, but by the specs it should be really close. I got out there, installed it, and DX15 and Slate 10 on the bottom, and you could not tell difference. It was like
You just saved yourself one huge headache.
yeah. Well, it was like he was like, well, I guess we can't do it. So it's either take it off there, and now they're not getting the heat rejection that they wanted, and the room's gonna look kind of weird. And it was like, I think I have an option. Let's try this. And now I know that I can offer that. Like, all right, cool. If we have another scenario like that, that's not common, but you come across it.
Oh,
Well, with DX, I mean, you're selling a lot of value. That the performance is
Yeah, the performance is off the
Real.
chart too. That's crazy.
that it circles back to the education of glass. Is explain to them what a film can and cannot do, what a dual pane window is going to do for you, where you're going to lose heat rejection because of the dual pane window. But I mean, that dual pane window is already kind of doing something for you, and then we're adding something to the inside. Benefit, lifetime warranty. But if you're looking for the highest value in heat rejection, you want to attack surface one. Like that's just, even with that, I mean, I start off with metering a window and then explain to the customer, when you're looking at a dual pane window, from the exterior looking in, that's surface one. On the inside part of that glass, that's surface two. And then you get to the next piece of glass. Surface three is the outer piece or the outer side, outer piece of that inside piece of glass. And then surface four is what you touch on the inside. Giving them that breakdown and then explaining to them, all right, this is where your coatings are and stuff like that. But if you want absolute highest heat rejection, you attack surface one. You don't let it get through the glass. You hit it before it ever gets near the glass, and that's how you're going to get your highest value when it comes to heat rejection. You know,
I completely agree. I
And
mean,
the funny thing is, the only downfall is the reduced warranty. But everybody that we've ever presented it to is like, "All right, cool, that's fine." I mean, because it's still, is it 12 or 15
for exterior,
for the DX?
we're 7 years.
Seven?
Seven.
Okay.
7 for
I don't know
vertical,
which one I'm
and,
thinking.
I definitely don't agree with any manufacturer going more than that. Inevitably, it's not going to last no matter what. And this, in my opinion, with any manufacturer, it's not going to last.
Yeah.
So why be married to something that's going to
Yeah.
be a nightmare?
Yeah.
and also putting like a false sense of like how the like it's gonna last so much longer, and it's like, no.
I was thinking
What-
of commercial warranties for interior installation.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So, as you guys know, Saint-Gobain is 10 and 12 year for commercial, and then go to 16 year for Panorama Premier Plus.
Yeah.
Yep. No. Yeah. So looking
How
at
you guys doing?
I think it's probably a good spot to kind of start wrapping
Yeah,
this
I
up.
think we're
Okay.
running out of time. I had more questions for you, but we're gonna have you back on. Luckily, you're not too far away.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely have to have you back on again.
Definitely wanted to talk more about the transition from installing to going to the manufacturer side of the house and being a rep. Because I kind of had a little bit of experience with that, but it was only for like 4 months, and it wasn't for
Solar Gard.
yeah. But we really appreciate everything that you've ever done for us. Solar Guard, it's been a really long relationship, and the culture you guys have there and all the people is what, I mean, on top of a quality product, that's been the big driver on, if we ever have an issue or a concern, I mean, Ricky definitely calls you or Nick or Miguel
Yep.
pretty consistently. And
Oh yeah.
And
that
that's-
knowledge is invaluable to us.
That's the blessing with Saint Cobain, Solar Guard. I mean, the tenure of the folks there and experience is mind-boggling compared to competition.
Oh.
It's mind-boggling.
Oh no, absolutely. Like anytime I have a technical question, like I had one the other day when it came down to what was it? When it was a security film job. Oh, it had to do with what is it? That coating for the windows to make it stronger, C-bond.
Yeah.
Called Miguel up, and then he kind of like gave me the breakdown of what it is, what it can and can't do, or what it may or may not do, and all that. And then like what he gave me was invaluable. Like I instantly got to go to my customer, inform my customer, and kind of explain to him, all right, this is what it can maybe do, or it's just one of those things. And then also when it comes down to it, there's no testing when it comes to using Armor Coat's product.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, that's coming from what's his title? The tech manager.
Miguel?
Yeah.
Technical service manager.
Technical service manager. And I was like, that is coming from Solar Guard's guy. That's the guy when it comes to any of their tech stuff. Like, that's the man.
Between Miguel and John Mitchell, if there's a question to answer, if they don't have it, it doesn't exist.
Yeah. Oh, two tools that I absolutely, or two assets that I use as much as I humanly can. Like and usually it's like I'll call you guys first. I'll either hit Nick up or I hit you up, and then beyond that, usually a lot of times when it comes to tech, it's just like call Miguel. Let's make it easy. And then it's call Miguel.
I do it too.
Let Miguel explain it, and then tell Miguel, hey, can you put it in layman's terms, like so I can understand what the hell you're talking about right now, because he just goes into depth with certain things. I'm like, that sounds awesome. Now explain to me what you just explained to me.
And that's the blessing of Solar Guard having those folks. I mean,
Yeah.
it's huge.
Oh, absolutely. That's why we value the partnership that we have with Solar Guard. We've been selling your guys' film for, I mean, since the beginning when it was DTI. Like, it's been technically 40 years now of us selling the film. It's awesome. I've seen the growth, and I've seen I don't want to say growth, but the evolution of kind of Solar Guard, and then also of Panorama too. Mm-hmm. It's something I've been very blessed with, being able to grow up in the industry and then watch that as it goes along too, and develop those relationships.
If there's something you guys would like to see out of us or product wise, is there a wish list, so to speak?
Oh man.
Come on. No wrong answers.
Technically, you guys kind of almost you guys made that wish come true this year. True View, 8 mil.
Yeah.
Having a high end heat rejection security film that is on high demand now. Like we are installing, stainless steel was kind of our go to. Now that I'm going to get my hands on TrueView 15 and TrueView 30, I have a feeling stainless steel sales are going to go down just a bit because that's the product I'm going to be going towards.
The one thing, but we've already talked about it, and I think it's going to happen. We're going to try to make it happen early next year, is getting some of my younger guys that we've been training in-house. We're trying to send people out to more outbound training, get in and get all my younger guys trained at the Armor Coat training, just so they have that extra layer of knowledge.
Like we were talking about, we get going on some wet glazing.
Yep. Yeah, no, we'll definitely be getting that set up and have like a little flat glass weekend. Send all my guys down at once. Let them all get their hands on some product. Let them get some more.
Or I know you mentioned possibly you coming to us.
I don't see any reason why that would ever be a problem.
That would be killer.
Oh, and that's already been expressed by Steve, Rob, anytime. I like sending the guys out because then it gets them away from the shop.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true.
because being in-house is good. I do enjoy that, but at the same time, being able to send the guys out to like, hey, this is work related. I want you to go kind of, go enjoy yourself a little bit, have some fun, but at the same time, you're able just to focus on that training and not worry about like, oh, we just landed a 400 square foot job. Like, all right, we're gonna cut this short, and you guys are gonna go do that job real quick. It's
tough.
yeah.
Well, I mean, let's get it done. Bring them down to Phoenix.
All right, we'll get that scheduled.
Well, we really appreciate it, Scott.
No,
It's
thank you
nice
so
having
much.
you on, man.
Yeah, and
We'll
I
definitely
appreciate
do
it.
it
It's
again.
cool.
We'll definitely do it again.
you guys know how this works. Subscribe, follow, like, comment. We appreciate all the love, and this has been a fun journey. And I can't tell you how much I enjoy these conversations. Getting to know people that I've already known for decades, even that much more, and actually being able to have the conversations and also just grow the knowledge. What I've picked up from these conversations so far is I look forward to every single one of these. So you guys know what to do. Hit subscribe and follow along.
Every Wednesday, new episodes.
Every Wednesday. Have a good one.